Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stack silver and you like your daily news to be unfiltered, uncensored, and unbiased, well, you've come to the right place. So make sure you subscribe. Definitely click the bell so you immediately get notified when I post, because if not, you might miss my videos. So make sure you guys subscribe. There's been a lot happening in the world of silver, and I'm not just talking about small little things. There's been some big news, and it's hard to cover everything on a day-to-day basis, or I'd be posting several videos. So I'm going to give a little bit of a recap on all the stuff that's been happening right now so you are up to speed, and I'll try to cover as much of it in this video itself. Some of this news is pretty interesting. First, we'll go over the silver price, or what's going on. Silver continues to recover after recent pullback. Then we're going to be going over Texas proposition to consider gold and silver as legal tender. Another state, I think this is the 5th state now. And then we'll go into Bitcoin leapfrog silver becoming the 2nd largest ETF commodity. This stuff is breaking news. I mean, this is fresh off the press. Also, a Bloomberg article that just came out recently that's talking about commodity set up for a classic end of cycle in 2024. Now, oil and silver have a very specific and interesting correlation, so I'll also be sharing this article talking about what moves the price of silver, and it's going into oil and why. So when we're going to be talking about this Bloomberg article talking about oil for 2024, that's going to also have a lot to do with silver. So make sure you guys like this video. Let me know what you think about all this, and let's jump straight into it. Silver price forecast. Silver continues to recover after recent pullback. I think that meant to say recent pullback, but yeah. So here's the technical analysis. Silver had initially pulled back just a bit during the trading session on Friday, but then turned around to show signs of life again. At this point, it looked like the market is bouncing from the $22.50 level, which I think extends support all the way down to the $22 level. Well, here's the 1 week chart. It definitely pulled back a lot. And you can see right here is the weekend. So tomorrow on Monday, this will open back up, and it's looking like it might start to pick back up again. I mean, it looks like it bottomed around $22.50-ish, and that definitely makes sense. And I definitely think it will start to climb back up. Look at the 1 month chart though, and you've seen this little waterfall effect. So who knows? Let's go to the 6 month chart. So you can see bouncing up and down, and that's why silver is so risky. Gold is a lot more stable. Silver hits higher highs and lower lows. That's why it's a very risky metal. It's more volatile because it's a much smaller market than gold. It's also easier to manipulate, which is why JP Morgan and other banks manipulate the price of silver and not so much gold. So yeah, that's where we are. But this will have we have now bounced the way we have over the last couple of sessions. I do think that it would make a lot of sense for silver to go looking towards the 200-day EMA above, somewhere near the $23.20 level. Anything above there then opens up a much bigger move, perhaps all the way to $24.50. Then he goes on to say, when I look at the longer term chart for silver, it's easy to make an argument that $26 is the resistance barrier on the top from the longer term perspective, and I definitely agree, while $22 underneath is massive support, which I also agree. As we look at this chart, it always bounces back up from there. But keep in mind, silver is heavily influenced by the 10-year yield in the United States, so if that yield starts to rise, that makes precious metals less attractive. However, it's important to consider that silver serves as an industrial metal too. The impact of industrial demand and the prominence of silver in various sectors, including green technologies, significantly shape the future developments. For what it's worth, platinum looks like it's a very strong market, bouncing from low levels as well. So silver and platinum, of course, do tend to move somewhat in tandem, yet another reason to think that maybe silver has a shot at rising here. So yeah, that's where the numbers are at right now. Let me know what you think about that. Let's jump into this second article. So Texas proposition to consider gold and silver as legal tender. If any state was going to, I definitely think it would have been Texas first. But there's also states like Utah. I think it's Wyoming. What other state? I don't know. I don't think it was Minnesota, but there's like I think 3 or 4 states. Some of them have brought the gold standard back. You can pay off debts. It is legal tender again, and looks like Texas is another one that is now joining. There's like 20 something states that have signed up, but only a few, less than a handful, have already passed this. So when Republican voters in Texas step into polling booth for primary election this March, they will encounter a proposition with potentially a far-reaching financial ramifications. This proposition, in essence, asks whether the state government should enable gold and silver to be used as legal tender. Although the proposition is scant on specifics, it does propose that Texas State Comptroller's Office be granted the authority to manage public access to gold and silver via the Texas Bullion Depository. A groundbreaking proposition. The Texas Bullion Depository, operational since 2018, may soon play a pivotal role in this unfolding financial narrative. If passed, this proposition could signify a major shift towards allowing the public to leverage precious metals as a hedge against inflation. Furthermore, it may also provide an alternative to the emerging trend of central bank digital currency. However, the proposition's brevity leaves many questions unanswered, and its full implications remain unclear. I think we know what the implications are, which is that we see where the dollar is headed, and we see what's happening around the world. We see other countries that are using these physical commodities like gold and silver to back their digital currency, which maybe we are also gearing up to do, as there is a huge power shift, not only in control, but monetarily as well, which we've never seen before, as the USD has always been the world's reserve currency. But now we see all these countries opting out, not using dollars anymore, and that's a big problem. So we're probably starting to try to figure out what to do because of that. I feel like this isn't a decision making that was made from us. It's more us reacting to what's happening around the world, which is why we're doing this. It's not like we just chose to do this. If the other countries weren't opting out of the USD, obviously we wouldn't be doing this. So it's more of a safety net, and I praise the states that are doing this, and especially the ones that have already passed this. Interesting stuff, though. I never thought we'd be able to bring back any form of the gold standard. Political precedents. The proposition does not stand in isolation. Texas has a history of using Republican primary votes to instigate significant legal changes. Should this proposition follow suit, Texas could become a trailblazer in legitimizing precious metals as a viable form of currency. This proposition is not just a matter of local interest. The issue of using gold and silver as legal tender has garnered attention beyond Texas. Like I just mentioned, as the global financial landscape continues to evolve, several states are considering similar measures. More details on this emerging trend can be found in the article on Shift Gold's website. Yes, it's many more states, over 20, almost half the entire country is signing up for this, but only a few, I think 3 or 4, have. So now let's talk about Bitcoin. I know a lot of you guys don't like Bitcoin. We have to talk about it because Bitcoin is similar to gold and silver. How? Because it's taking your money away from US dollars, putting it into your own hands. Cryptocurrency is the only other thing besides precious metals that truly does that. And I mean to the purest form of detaching yourself from a centralized system. Stocks, you're still attached. Anything else, you're still attached. But precious metals, when you buy physical, you have taken control of your wealth entirely. Bitcoin's the same thing. It's decentralized. You own your Bitcoin offline, stored on a cold wallet, which means stored offline. You're the only one that has the private key or the address, and nobody else can touch it. So that's important to note. But interestingly enough, Bitcoin leapfrogs silver, becoming the second largest ETF commodity. So, and it leapfrogs silver. So, Bitcoin has surpassed silver to become the second largest ETF commodity in the US, following its landmark approval by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So you see how centralized systems are now acknowledging crypto as something that is viable, that has legitimacy, right when the rest of the world is as well, and now bringing back the gold standard. It's looking like what the BRICS has been doing, and making this digital currency backed by physical commodities is influencing the United States to do the same thing, but maybe in our own direction. Maybe it's CBDC, maybe it's something along the lines where we also have this new digital currency backed by gold and silver, which would make sense, which is what, if we are going to have a global reset or some type of financial reset, that's the only way it would work. We are in a new digital technological era. Our money has to be digital. The days of using dollars, especially from pandemic, nobody is using dollar bills anymore. Everyone's swipe of the card, everything's cashless. It's online banking, mobile banking, Bitcoin ATMs. Go to the store. Nobody's ever using dollar bills anymore. It's all digital. And that makes sense. If you think about a sci-fi movie in the future, what is their type of currency going to be in a sci-fi movie? 100 years from now, 1,000 years, it's obviously going to be digital. But it has to be backed by something if it wants to survive, in my opinion. And that's where all of these states bringing back the gold standard kind of hint towards that, which is good that they're doing that. And I think the only reason they are, like I said before, was because the BRICS are. But anyways, yeah, that's where we're at with that. I guess we could jump into this because it's only 1 minute and 58 seconds long, and then I'll share this article afterwards, or actually I'll share this first. Here's what moves the price of silver. All right, so make sure you stick through to watch this interview because it's important. We're going to be talking about things that move silver. Oil. If you want to see what silver is going to do, look at oil. A lot of people don't know that. Correlations. First, I compute correlations of historical prices and levels. Table 1, we see silver has the highest positive correlation with gold. Copper at 0.85. So you can see silver is obviously 1 because that's what we're comparing it to. But oil is very close up the chart, 0.7, 0.71. Then you have the T-note, Treasury note, Euro, Australian yen. But yeah, oil's up there. You guys have to remember that. Oil is up there. And, that's something you have to remember. So when we look at oil prices or what oil's going to do, think of silver. Now let's jump into this interview. Now, actually, when I was going to record that Bloomberg interview, I came across something else that's even better, because that was just going to be talking about commodities in 2024, but this is diving a lot deeper, and it also does talk about oil as well, so figured, why not just share this? Are we on the verge of another major commodity supply squeeze? It won't take much for commodity prices to move significantly higher in this current macro and geopolitical environment. I like how they said macro. That's always what I talk about. The macro, not the micro, the bigger picture. Supply chain disruption in the Red Sea raises concerns of a major commodity supply squeeze. So the threat of another major commodity supply squeeze ripping through the global economy has overtaken interest rate cuts this month as one of the hottest, most closely watched macro trending opportunities of this year, if not this decade. This rising number of attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea have spiked shipping costs by more than 600% since the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas conflict, and this could upend efforts by global central banks to bring down inflation. It's another important part to think about. On Friday, oil prices soared above $80 a barrel for the first time in 2024, as the world's shipping giants were left with no other option but to continue diverting their container-packed ships away from Suez Canal and take long route past the Cape of Good Hope. So think about that. This is affecting oil, and like we mentioned, oil affects the price of silver. So it's all coming full circle. It's all intertwined, and we have to be making sure that we are, we are looking at every single angle. Now, going around Southern Africa adds $1 million in fuel costs, about 10 days to the journey. That's insane. An outcome that has significantly increased the odds of a supply chain crisis similar to the one that snarled the global economy after the pandemic. And that was a bad one because remember, it wasn't just the boundaries and borders that were cut off, but also minimal workers. And I'm talking about from silver production, like Mexico and Peru got hit hard from the pandemic. So they closed down their mines for a long time. And even when the mines were opened again, there was minimal workers, safety precautions. But then the boundaries, the borders were cut off, and it was a mess. So that definitely disrupted not only precious metals. That's the one I covered the most, but on a global scale for everything. There's no denying that supply shocks of this nature in an already fragile system can have catastrophic consequences, as history has shown time and time again. So that's stuff that you have to think about, and then the domino effect unleashed commodities rally in tandem with oil's soaring surge. And that's what we're talking about. Commodities like silver rally with oil's soaring surge because they are correlated. So I wanted to bring that to light as well when looking at 2024. There's lots of things that are pushing and pulling precious metals, but that's just another one you can look at, not only just gold, that also could tell you a little bit of insight. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. If you guys wanted to purchase silver, email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com. I'll have new deals for you guys tomorrow. As every Monday, we have new silver and gold deals. Always great stuff, great prices regardless, not only just the deals. 10-ounce bars, like $2.10 over spot, or kilo bars, $2.10. 10-ounce bars, $2.50 over spot. Tons of different stuff. I mean, the variety like I've never seen. I'm talking like 8 different types of 10-ounce bars, 7 different types of kilo bars, tons of different types of coins. I think the new 2024 Eagles are going to be in this week, so lots of exciting stuff. Slayer@milesfranklin.com. You don't got to buy from me, just buy from somewhere, right? I'm not trying to sell you guys this thing to buy silver. I buy myself every 2 weeks. You got to be buying. I've been buying since 2016. You have to be protecting yourself because the dollar is diminishing. All the banks are owning the most gold and silver in the world. Record gold buying from all the world central banks this year. Banks holding boatloads of silver again. Countries, most powerful countries, buying boatloads of silver, record-breaking amounts. I mean, there's reasons for this. They know something that the average person doesn't know. We do, but you got to be taking advantage of it. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Make sure you subscribe because I post daily. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.